Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. You're in luck. It's another X-Wing episode. I can't believe it, but we've got some spoilers that the XWA has gone ahead and given out, and we decided we're going to cover some of the new ships, talk a little bit about them, how their interactions are, and I don't know. It seems kind of fun because it's new pilots. They've only released points for I think one or two of them. But hopefully, after we have Worlds this year, we'll get a whole points adjustment and a points update from the XWA. And yeah, we'll be able to start playing with some of these new cards. Joining me tonight to reveal the cards is my good friend JJ. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing all right. Excited for brand new content, brand new pilot cards coming in from the XWA. This is Fred and Hush off the press. We got a couple of points to go through and just to see how this is going to shake up some of the meta here, especially for the first order. So it's exciting to see these new cards come out for sure.
Yeah. So hopefully you've all had a good weekend. We had an episode for X-Wing. We do episodes obviously every week for our Swoop podcast, but we had an X-Wing episode. If you haven't checked it out yet, the link will be in the comment section. Go ahead, check it out on YouTube or on Podbean. We did not break the episode up. We just essentially did one long hour with Paul Heaver talking about Epic and all of that fun stuff. So thought it would be fun. Hopefully it'll be something that you can check out and participate in. So with that being said, JJ, why don't we just get into the new pilots? So the first one we have up that they revealed is a new standard loadout Kylo Ren. I'm assuming this is the Kylo Ren in the silencer, if I'm not mistaken. And instead of 2 Force, they're giving him a 3rd Force because why not, right?
Yeah, it turns out he was just becoming the Supreme Leader later on in this movie, so that's why he got the bump into 3-4. So that's why. So we got the Kylo Ren evacuation of the car, which is one of the themes that they chose for this pack that they're going to be revealing. And his pilot ability reads: before an enemy ship in your bullseye is dealt a face down damage card, you may spend a force, and if you do, that damage card is dealt face up instead, and it does come with the chassis ability of the silencer, which is auto thrusters, which allows you to boost or barrel roll after you perform an action. That's a red action. So that pilot ability is essentially the same one that he has in the Whisper chassis that he has in the first order. The upgrades that we have here is a new one. We got a new one called Determination, and it reads: while you perform a primary attack, if the defender is in your bullseye, you may suffer a hit to add 1 focus result. And then we have Malice, which is while you perform an attack, you may spend 1 force to change 1 hit or focus result to a crit result. And if you do, after you perform the attack, if the defender was dealt 1 or more face-up pilot or crew damage cards, recover 2 charges. And then it also comes equipped with proton torpedoes, which we all know is a really big shot here. So this is a really, really, really aggressive Kylo Ren. It is aggressive to the point that it'll sacrifice health in order to deal more damage out there, which is really great, actually, because you're essentially able to do 4 to 5 damage per attack. You're assuming that you get that bullseye lined up with Kylo Ren, and you can do a lot of damage here. This version of Kylo Ren is very aggressive. You can, if you're doing that primary attack at range 1 and you get the bullseye, which should be relatively easy, especially with the auto thrusters ability, you can use Determination and Malice to essentially spend your force to deal more crits and then recover it as you get pilot and crew damage cards up to help you recover those crits. And if you absolutely need to destroy something, this ship can definitely do some damage. Now, the XWA did say that this was going to come in at 7 points, which makes it the most expensive Kylo Ren currently right now, which probably will still stay true after the points update. But yeah, this is a really nasty ship.
Yeah, I don't know if it matters that it's 7 points. I think if you remember right back in before XWA, we had a 7-point Kylo Ren, and we did have a silencer that was 7 points originally that you could just basically kit out with everything. So I will say, it is a little bit disheartening only for the pure fact that you aren't getting as many of the upgrades, but they are giving you the proton torpedoes. There is no instinctive aim though. So you do have to take that target lock action, and I'm a little surprised there's no linked actions in here. I guess you can still link to the auto thruster, so correct. So it
Yeah.
is kind of like it's a linked action. But I think the big thing here is the fact that it's got the extra force. Is that extra force worth not being able to kit out your Kylo? Probably, because you're getting proton torpedoes. With it, it still fits pretty well. Like you could still run a 5-ship list with this, because you could put a 4-pointer and then um like three
Three pointers.
pointers, yeah,
Yeah.
in there as well. So I still think that you're fine. And really 5 is kind of the sweet spot for FO. I ran 4 to 5 ship lists with them all the time. And you can still like I'm happy they didn't change its initiative to 6, because like if they had made them a 6 initiative, I think we would be like we would have a little bit more of a problem, because it would be almost like an auto include. But for the most part, I would say the few changes that they made to this is probably worth that extra point. And it is something I would be willing to put on the field.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, let's move on to the next one that we have. This is a new standard loadout with Poe Dameron in the T-70 X-Wing. So we're now getting a standard loadout so that you can not have as crazy of a time as you did before. This is got the same stats, except for it has 1 charge. After you perform an action, you may spend 1 charge to perform a white action, treating it as red. So very similar to his other pilot ability that he had there. You get what's called adaptive S foils. After you perform a barrel roll action, gain a deplete token while you perform an attack before rolling attack dice. If the defender is in your bullseye, you may remove 1 deplete token. So it feels a little Von Reggish, right? Like that's kind of like what it feels like it's mirroring. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And they also added the slam action right directly onto the card. So that's new.
Yeah.
Those do not have slam actions normally. And the funny thing is if you look at this, right, like you could do your focus into a barrel roll, into a red barrel roll. So you can perform a target lock, then you can spend your charge, get your focus, do a red barrel roll, get another deplete, and then if you got them in bullseye, you just dump that deplete token, right? So then it doesn't even matter. So
yeah, you just keep in mind that if you did do the focus link red as your second action, you'll end up with 2 stress. But yeah,
that's right.
it still allows you to dump that deplete token. Now, the great part about it is that the second part of the adaptive S foils can still matter. Like if you end up taking a like a mag pulse shot, right, and Poe ends up taking that deplete from the mag pulse, he can essentially get rid of that deplete token as long as he has somebody in the bullseye. So that ability is always active. You don't always have to just do the barrel, have a deplete. As long as you have a deplete token, if it comes from a different ship or effect, you can remove it by having a ship in your bullseye.
Yep. And they equipped him with the heroic. Essentially, you get primed overdrive thrusters, which is what a lot of people were running anyway. They now gave you BB-8 stapled on there with 2 charges, as well as you get the Black One title, which is hence probably why they just went ahead and added the slam action on there. You can lose a charge if you do. You cannot perform that slam action, so you could just I see. So you could only perform the slam action if you have Black One charges ready. Okay, that makes
Correct.
sense. That makes sense. That's why it's down there. This comes in at 6 points. So I think this is a little undercosted. You aren't getting any torpedoes though with it, right? So it's just his native shots.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big difference between like this and a Kylo.
Yeah, and it's definitely very, very versatile, right? Because you can still do the BB-8 during the system phase, do a barrel or boost, and like take a focus, and then take the deplete, and then perform a blue maneuver, and then just like get rid of all your stress and everything, right? So you have a lot of great options with BB-8. And I mean, granted, you only have 2 charges, but sometimes that's just really, really handy when you absolutely need to not be blocked. And just having the flexibility of spending those BBA charges to remove your disarm token as well after a black one slam. I mean, it just makes this really, really good. Having that Flyboy Poe ability along with all this other stuff. I'm just really glad it doesn't have any ordinance, because then I think it would be way over the top. But this has like a good solid foundation for 6 points.
Yeah, I like it. I like this. It's again, it obviously this one wasn't super hard to build. This is kind of similar to what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
All right. So
JJ, what do we got next? We got a brand new one. This is a brand new ship too, to some
yeah.
extent, right?
Yeah, so I'm super excited. This is one that people have been asking for a long time here. We got the Mandalorian in the N1 Starfighter, which is fantastic. So this is it comes with 2 attack, 2 defense, 3 hull, and 2 shields, and it comes with 2 non-recurring force charges. And the pilot ability reads: while you defend or perform an attack, if you're in the front arc at range 1 or 2 of 2 or more enemy ships, you may change one of your blank results to a focus result, which is essentially the pilot ability from the Razor Crest version of Mando that we got. And then the chassis ability is brand new. So we got Restored Speedster. While you're disarmed, you may perform primary attacks against enemy objects in your bullseye. And that is fantastic. I love that they specified objects, because that could be remotes, that could be the little sensor buoys from the First Order, or the little commandos, anything that's basically an enemy to the ship. You can take a shot at it in your bullseye. And then it comes with outmaneuver. It comes with a child, which this one's a little new. It reads: after you defend, if you suffer damage during the attack, you cover 1 charge. Note that this particular child does not come with the hunted condition, which gives your opponent a target lock if they shoot at you with the child. So you essentially have the child for free without having that condition, which is really good. The next up is a new illicit. It's called the Kineso Switch, and it comes with 2 charges. And it reads: after you perform a slam action, if you fully executed that maneuver, you may spend a charge to break all locks assigned to you, which is super good. And then it comes with calibrated laser targeting while you perform a primary attack. If the defender's in your bullseye, add 1 focus result to that one there. So super good. I like this a lot, because the Restored Speedster really goes well with the calibrated laser targeting. It is a little tougher for this one, because you can I mean, sure, you could boost to get into that bullseye range, but if you're able to target primarily like medium or large base ships, then you can rely a lot more on the slam action. And the N1 has a great dial for you to get blue maneuvers to relieve your stress, and having a slam linked into a red target lock is really good as well. You can essentially double mod your shots, and if you're able to outmaneuver your opponent, Mandalorian can do quite a bit of work. So yeah, definitely really good.
Yeah, so essentially, like the child is giving, like it's similar to what the card is, right?
Yeah.
Except for the question I have is, why do we have the CLT on here? Is that just like that's crazy, because that's like extra. That's like Jedi stuff that we had with the the Aether sprites. So do you know why they put something like that on there?
Well, from what I've heard from the GSP when they were going through it, they were kind of debating on the power level of the Mandalorian. They didn't want to give it any torpedoes, which is what we see on the show when they first revealed this. When he's hunting down those pirates, he was shooting I think proton torpedoes out the ship. They didn't want to give the ship a torpedo for it, so they felt that the more balanced way of giving the ship just a bit more offense is giving it that CLT, which rewards the player for being able to line up that bullseye in order for you to get that additional hit, and without being overpowered as far as having a torpedo equipped onto the ship and firing potentially 4 dice. So I think that's kind of a compromise that they had when they were designing the ship.
All right, that makes sense. I do like the restored speedster aspect. Like that's new. Do you know if we're gonna get any more N1 pilots? And do you know who's going to be painting all of our ships silver? Because I've got 4 of them,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I need
I
them all
got
painted.
I happened to get when it first came out that special N1 that was originally for like Padme, so I'll be using that particular ship for that, even though it's in the Padme colors. That's my dedicated Mando ship now for sure. Yeah, and we don't know yet if there'll be any other pilots for the N1. It might be just a one-off for now, unless they decide to make more pilots, but we won't know until much later. So.
Awesome. All right, well, let's move on. The next one that we have is Lieutenant LeHughes, which I was a little surprised that we got that, given that everybody saw so much of that in 2.5. But essentially, so he has the similar stats as his SF fighter, so it's not much different. They're adding the determination on there, so that must be a new standardized upgrade that they're going to be utilizing. They're giving him concussion missiles, which is spicy because you have never ran concussion missiles ever on him. Um, but you can run the concussion missiles, and then he's getting a new first order ordnance tech. After you gain a disarm token, gain a calculate token while you're disarmed, you can still perform primary attacks. Now, this says front attacks. Does this also mean, because the SF traditionally with your turret can shoot out the back too, right? So
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so they made a couple of clarifications on this one here. The heavy weapons turret chassis ability has been modified a bit here, mainly because they didn't want to have a wall of extra actions on the action bar. So it's been modified to read: after you perform an action, you can perform a white rotate action, and you can rotate your turret arc to the front or the rear, and then you're treating the requirements for your missile upgrade as the turret arc. And so it essentially just adds that little bit of text that allows you to rotate your arc as you need to, which is great, right? Because on the action bar, they added a white reload into target lock, which then you can rotate the turret as you need to, which is great. So that allows you to still have a primary attack. Even while you perform a reload, it's going to be much weaker than the concussion missile, but you're always essentially going to have a way to shoot a missile off or perform an attack with this particular ship.
yeah, it just seems a little, I don't know, that seems a little silly that you cannot that you cannot so you could get your reload and then get a target lock, but you can't use it for a turn. So it seems a little
Well, I
determined.
mean, the first order ordnance tech, which we've colloquially named it foot because it's FOOT. And when you gain that disarm token, you're getting a calculate token as well. So when you take that reload action, which you can link into that target lock, you're getting a calculate and a target lock. And then LeHugh's ability has also been changed a little bit. And it reads: at the start of the engagement phase, you may acquire lock on an object at range 1 to 3 that has a friendly lock. And if you do, you break that friendly lock on that object, which the interaction with Lieutenant Revis, which is one of the other pilots that we have in the TIE-FO, normally paired really well with this ship. Normally, you just get to use that friendly target lock as if your own. With this new interaction, you can break a Revis's lock, acquire it with LeHugh's, and then now since that ship has a new lock that you just acquired, Revis now acquires a lock again onto that same ship with its ability. So it works even better now with Lieutenant Revis. So yeah.
All right. It's cool. I like it. Hopefully this comes in at 4 points
Yeah,
or
I'm
less.
hoping that comes in at 4 points just so it gives you different options there. My guess is that they'll probably tweak the custom Revis, or not custom Revis, the custom LeHugh's, just to give them a little more loadout right now. I know that you can still equip Special Forces Gunner to give it a 3-die primary, but I feel this has just slightly more power just because you can negate that range 3 attack, or rather defensive bonus with the concussion missiles, and it could do a lot more work that way. But yeah, I think this is a solid 4-point ship when it comes out.
Yeah, if they give it to me for 3 points, I won't complain either. So
An I5 with 6 out at 3 points. What is this,
yeah,
Rebels? No.
exactly. All right.
All right. So the next one here, this is another SF pilot that we have here. This is the Initiative 3 Theta 3 from the evacuation of the car. Comes with the 2 attack, 2 defense, 3 shields and hull, and 2 charges. And it reads, at the start of the engagement phase, if you have no green tokens, you may spend 1 charge to gain an evade token. And it comes with seeker missiles, which is a target lock requirement. Again, 4 charges. You can spend a charge, and during the modified attack dice step, you may spend up to 2 additional charges to change 1 hit result into one focus result into a hit result for each of the charges you spent. It is a range 2 to 3 range with a 3 die attack, and then also comes with passive sensors. And essentially, during your activation phase, you can use this as an action to spend a charge, and then when you engage, you get to perform a calculate or target lock action. And then this also comes with a first order ordnance tech, which gives you a calculate when you take a disarm and still perform primary attacks. This one is actually pretty good, right? Because this is intended for you to use your passive sensors on Theta 3. And then essentially when you start the engagement phase, gets a free evade token. And then when you engage, you acquire that target lock, and then you can shoot your seeker missiles, which can self-mod with the charges, and you can essentially change up to 2 focus results to hit results using the charges on the seeker missiles. So it makes it a very, very accurate shot there. This definitely is going to see play. I don't see this being higher than 4 points because I think the ability is pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't put this higher than 4 points either. I mean, the big thing is it's an I3, so
Yeah.
that's kind of a deterrent. You can have your lock broken by then. Passive sensors is though nice because it does allow you to just basically not have that token, but you got to survive that long.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not opposed to this. I don't think it's the end of the world. I like that they did limit the evade piece of it. But personally, I don't know how much I would say this is going to see a lot of play. I don't know. We'll see. If this comes in at 3 points, then this is a good ship for 3 points. I think 4 points. And again, we've had this discussion many times. Like the linearity of the 20-point system to me is just garbage. But um, this at 4 points is probably something people will play with. But I'll be honest. I will say, like, would I take this over Lieutenant Hughes at 4 points? No. So I wouldn't do it. So especially because those seeker missiles, man, you still have to spend 1 to attack, and then you got to spend at least 2 more if you want. If you want to be able to mod it. So if you don't have any other mods, that's the only way you have to mod it. I don't know. Like it can be an accurate attack, but at the same token, it's not, right? Because if you use 2 charges, you're never going to be able to mod it. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Just having that reload though, and still shoot the primary is still really good just to set you up for following turn, but you're still only reloading 1 charge at that point. So yeah.
And it does let you shoot. It does let you fly up, shoot your seeker missiles, get in closer, do your reload action. I think if there was a way to coordinate you a token, maybe you would be better off. But like, I don't know, because you're only getting an evade token twice. I don't know, because we saw Malorus. She did so well at 3 points with just 2 charges as well. So I don't know. I think if this comes in at 3 points, I think this would be pretty fair at 3 points, and I would play this at 3 points. There you go. So I doubt they'll give it to us at 3 points. But.
Yeah.
All right. The next standard loadout is a TIE FO. So this is an Omega 2. Friendly TIE ships can acquire locks onto objects at range 0 to 3 of you, ignoring range restrictions. So that's pretty dope. Period. Like just flat out, that's a dope ability. We've seen that be very useful because that's essentially like a sensor buoy to some extent. So you have a mobile sensor buoy now without having that on there. They also have, I don't believe we've seen Reckless before. While you perform an attack, you may choose another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 of the defender. If you do, that ship gains a strain token, and you may re-roll a blank result. It seems pretty good. That's kind of, we've seen a little bit of that with that Born for this, kind of like, I guess it's not quite Born for this, but what is the
Yeah,
one that Alex always uses? What's that stupid?
dedicated
There you go.
almost, but
So
it's
this is
an offensive dedicated. Basically. Yeah,
yes. Yep, this is more of an offensive dedicated. So this ship is not designed to live forever. It also has a determination thing, and it has something called target relay. After a friendly ship acquires a lock on an enemy ship at range 0 to 1 of you, you may spend 1 and gain a stress token. If you do, that friendly ship may gain a calculate token as well. So that's pretty good. This feels like a pseudo coordinator ship. That's what this feels
yeah,
like. I don't see this coming in less than 3 points. I can't imagine you could have this as a 2-point ship. If you do, I would include it all day long. I think the
yeah,
ability for you to be able to just fly in there, you could take your barrel roll to your red evade, you could take an evade, you can take a focus, you can do whatever you want. And there, like, it doesn't require um it is a tie ship, so it's any tie ship. So your tie silencers, your FOs, or
hmm
your SFs. So basically almost anything
yep, exactly.
um inside of FO can take this. So take the lock. So I would say, like, if they give this to us at 2 points, it becomes an auto include, no questions asked. If it comes in at 3 points, I think you can use this as a objective style ship and like a battering ram. Like, this comes in, gets in range 1, says, "Here's the middle finger to you." Somebody else gets a target lock, and there's all sorts of shenanigans that you can do. It's going to give it. This ship is a shenanigan ship, like a rebel
Yeah.
style shenanigan ship. So I like it. I like this ship actually a lot.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, just being able to essentially take advantage of like sending in dedicated blockers. For instance, this works really well with Lieutenant Revis, who wants to get in the way, cause your opponent to take a red focus, so that way they can trigger all the locks. This is a really good companionship to go with that if you're trying to set up blockers, and then this is also a really good blocker itself. This definitely will see some play in a lot of different lists. It definitely can't be any more than a 3. At 4, it's a lot more of a tougher call to include this.
Yeah.
But as a 3-point ship, I would definitely include this in my list for sure.
If this were an SF at 4 points, I would pay 4 points if this was an SF.
Yeah,
Just so you know,
yeah,
like, I would actually pay 4 points for that in an SF, because even though it has 1 less agility, it has the ability to live a little bit longer, and it can shoot out both sides. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so the next TIE fighter that we got revealed here is Scorch, coming in the TIE SF, or sorry, in the TIE FO
No.
fighter. This one reads, while you perform a primary attack, if you're not stressed, you can gain a stress to roll 1 additional attack die. This also comes in with the Reckless chassis ability. This also comes in with Determination, comes with Fanatical, and then it comes with a new tech called Threat Sensors. And it reads, while you defend, if you are stressed, you may reroll 1 focus result, which is really nice because it just pairs so well with the ability. This particular version of Scorch is much better, in my opinion, because you have a lot more ways to get passive results on here, being able to get rerolls by straining one of your other friendlies, and then also using Determination to add a result, and then Fanatical as well. It pairs really nicely, particularly the Determination Fanatical part, because you can essentially use Determination to add a focus result. And then since you're not shielding anymore, you can now turn on Fanatical and then add that hit result, or change it to a hit result from the focus that you just added. And it's extra good. You're pushing just extra damage onto that particular ship. So this could essentially turn at range 1. You can push in potentially 5 damage on this. So it's really good.
Yeah. And you got to think too, like, this can be at the I4. Like, again, this is probably a 3-point ship. I wouldn't think this should be a 4-point ship. Though you could argue that it's worth 4 points. It's on that cusp. It would be hard to justify it at 4 points, but, and you got to think, if you have a Vodreg, a Hollow, or like a Kylo in whatever format you want to run Kylo, like, they can flank and they can be on that side too, because they move typically later, especially like a Von Reg moves like super. You could give Von Reg that strain result, and he doesn't care because not most of the time he's not being shot at. Um,
Mhm.
so like I think this ship has a little bit more of a reason to be put on the table. Let's say than this Omega 2 when it comes to that reckless ability, just because Scorch can benefit because it can throw 5 dice, right? So like that's pretty important, or 4 dice, sorry, not five. Um,
Yeah.
that's pretty important. I like it. I think this is pretty good too. I will say if you bring this in at 4 points, it'll see less play, but there I would test around with it as well.
Yeah, I think for me, like this is like one of those in betweens, like a 3.5, right? I could definitely see it being a 3, mainly because if you are using determination, you're using your own health as a resource. And that essentially makes his die a little bit quicker. The nice part about it too is that if you're doing a simultaneous fire at I4 and Scorch is already dead, you can just determination and just add a hit to yourself anyway. So that's pretty good. But yeah, this is definitely much more of an offensive threat, but it will burn down really quick with enough use. So yeah.
All right, the next FO that we get is a Zeta 5. Their ability is while you perform an attack, if you are not shielded and the defender's initiative is higher than yours, you add 1 focus result. So it doesn't matter as long as they're higher than you, you're an I2. So the majority of stuff outside of vultures are probably going to be higher than you.
Yep.
Um, it also comes with reckless determination. It has pattern analyzer on it because why not? I guess. And then it has something called targeting matrix. While attacking, you may spend 1 of your focus results at the end of the neutralize results steps. If you do after the attack is resolved, the defender gains a strain token. Um, I don't. It's cool. It's got pattern analyzer, but it's an I2.
Yeah.
And you got to be shieldless to get the extra result to trigger your targeting matrix. I don't know. You give me this as a 2 coster, and I'll run it. Outside of that, I don't think so.
Yeah. One of the things I was kind of surprised on this one is that one of the talks that I've seen in a lot of different circles is pattern analyzer being kind of a problematic tech. I'm surprised they didn't reword pattern analyzer to allow it to just be limited to one single action, right? Like you can't link into other stuff. Granted, this has no other
Totally.
like linked actions on it, but just something to note on there. But yeah, I mean, I could see this. I don't know. I don't know if I would take this for 3 points. It feels like it could be a little bit cheaper. I mean, granted, you can do a couple of good things on it. Just being able to always have an action with pattern analyzer is pretty good. But again, it's one of those things that you're putting your health as a resource, and this can die early before it even gets to take a shot at I2. So uh, yeah, I don't know if this will see as much play as the other cards that we've seen so far for this. So yeah,
You give it to me as a 2, it'll see play.
yeah,
Anything more
for
than
sure.
that, it becomes filler, and I don't know if I care enough about it. I mean, I will say it is cool to have it so that you can just have something that's like a standard loadout card to run, like so you don't have to really do any other cards. Like I'm okay with that, but I
Yeah,
don't give it to me for a 2 cost, and give it to me for 2 costs, and I would put this on the table. It's also pipped too, right? So it's
yeah,
not like you can put multiple of them. So to me, I think you could get away with it as 2 points because it's not like you could run like 7 of them. You know.
yeah, exactly. And it just really opens up the list building options too for first order to having a 2 pointer. So yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, it looks like that is all of the spoilers that we currently have for the XWA. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of commentary. At this current time, until they release points, we're not going to list build with the stuff. So once we get some, we have a month. In a month, folks, you guys just got to be patient. In 1 month, we'll have the XWA will be able to release some more stuff after Worlds. Um, and stuff like that. So we'll be able to kind of have that discussion. We'll probably do at least one more episode before Worlds as well to kind of talk about a little bit of a primer. I'll have JJ pull some stuff for some current lists that could possibly be ran. We'll go through some points, some things that we think are hot that you might want to run and practice at Worlds. I don't know, if you're going to the last Worlds and you don't care about like topping it and you just want to run something for fun, then just run a for fun list. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to definitely be heading out to Worlds. I have posted actually a link for a site. I'm just trying to get some more funds to help finance my trip to Worlds. So any donation definitely be greatly appreciated. I will be giving away an Empire starter pack that will come with a couple of acrylic tokens on there, as well as extra upgrade cards for all the pilots that are on there. So thank you anybody who has donated, and any future donors as well. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to look at the page and contribute anything for that particular trip. Thank you.
And anything you want to donate over top of it will help me go, because as of right now, I had to pay for my daughter's trip that I didn't think she was actually going to go on, and she's not going to go on to Washington D.C. So that was like $1.5 grand, and then I had to pay for my dog's like butt cancer surgery. So that was super fun.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it'll be exciting. JJ will be at Worlds. Alex is still on the verge of debating on whether he's going to go to Worlds. I actually could drive to Worlds, so it actually wouldn't cost me that much. It's just I don't have a place to stay right now currently, and then I don't have any of the admission tickets for it, so, or any of the food. So, but I do have time off. They increased my time off at work this year. That was like, hey, we're not going to give you any more money, but we're gonna give you an extra 4 hours every week of PTO. So I mean, by the time Worlds hits, I have acquired almost a full week's worth of PTO if I did want to take time off.
Damn. Yeah.
Wish I could cash it in for money, right? Like, wouldn't that be cool? But like, here, have your PTO back. Give me some cash. But
yeah, for real.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us. Like I said, this is our second episode. We don't do the X-Wing stuff quite as often. I think there will be a little bit more content coming up, and if the XWA releases enough content that it requires us to do a podcast, we will shoot for at minimum once a month, if not every other week, to try to put a shorter podcast together once some of the newer stuff comes out for it. So with that being said, thank you all. Make sure you check out our other podcasts, our Star Wars Unlimited podcast that we have under the same name. And we'll see you on the flippity flop.
Have a good night, everybody.